In the middle of America, far from the glossy cities and bright marquees, there was a neighbourhood where time moved differently. The mornings came slow, wrapped in a kind of heavy grey light that clung to the rooftops. Most of the houses sat tired on their foundations, old wooden frames with paint blistered by summers that were too hot and winters that were far too long. On the corner, kids played in the street with dented cans and flat footballs. Across the way, women in worn coats leaned on railings, talking in low voices, watching the world roll by. Men headed to factory shifts before dawn, lunch pails in hand, feet dragging like their dreams were too heavy to carry. Poverty wasn't a concept here. It was the texture of everyday life. The cracked sidewalks, the busted porch steps, the smell of cheap coal drifting from chimneys. In winter, people survived because they were used to surviving. They joked, they fought, they hustled, they endured. And in one particular house, a big 2-story place with too many people living inside and too many secrets hiding behind closed doors, a young boy watched everything. He watched the arguments, the deals, the rough laughter, the pain people tried to hide. He listened to voices sharpened by alcohol and softened by exhaustion. He absorbed the chaos like oxygen. He didn't know it yet, but those crooked hallways and long nights were shaping him, teaching him how to read people, teaching him that truth is often ugly, but also strangely funny. And from that strange mixture, violence, love, confusion, humour, a storyteller was being born. His name was Richard Pryor, Peoria, Illinois. In the 1940s isn't the clean, polite Midwest people like to picture. It's a river town with grit under its fingernails. The morning air hangs thick with the smell of the Illinois River, a mix of damp mud and something industrial. Drifting from the caterpillar plants, factory smoke crawls into the sky, turning the clouds a permanent shade of tired grey. On the south side of town, the streets crack like old skin. Houses lean slightly, as if gravity has finally worn them down. Kids with patched up clothes run barefoot across dusty yards, kicking cans, chasing one another between porches that sag under their own weight. Men tramp to early shifts while it's still dark, boots scuffing the pavement, shoulders already low with the weight of a day that hasn't even started. This is not a neighbourhood where life is gentle. It's a place where everyone learns to be tough, because softness doesn't survive long here. And in the middle of this rough grid of streets sits one particular house, large, weathered, and louder inside than out. The paint is peeling in long flakes. The screen door slaps against its frame every time someone comes or goes. Inside, the air carries a thick mixture of perfume, cigarette smoke, hair oil, and frying grease from breakfast starting too early and ending too late. This house is a brothel, run with absolute authority by one woman, Marie Carter, Richard's grandmother. She moves through her world with the confidence of someone who refuses to be broken. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't have to. Her presence fills every room before she even steps into it. She is sharp, fearless, and utterly uninterested in anyone's excuses. Richard watches her constantly. He's a thin, alert boy with wide eyes that take in more than anyone realizes. He stands in doorways, keeps to the edges, listens to conversations he's not supposed to hear. He studies people the way other kids study comic books. He watches the women get ready for the night. Lipstick applied in small cracked mirrors, dresses smoothed over hips, laughter that sounds bright but not always joyful. He watches the men who drift through the back door with their hats tipped low, voices hushed, money folded into palms. The house breathes with tension, humour, desperation, and strange moments of tenderness. Music blares, someone laughs too loudly, someone else cries quietly, and through all of it, Richard absorbs the rhythm of grown-up chaos long before he understands it. His father appears now and then, quick-tempered, swaggering, hands always moving, like they're looking for something to hold or something to strike. He brings a storm with him, even when he's smiling. His mother comes and goes too, until eventually she doesn't. Richard doesn't ask why. In this house, goodbyes often happen without words. Poverty isn't a tragedy here, it's the backdrop. Clothes dry on lines stretched between leaning fences. People share what they can. Meals, cigarettes, gossip, debts. Kids sleep 3 to a bed. Adults stay awake long after midnight, because the world inside their heads refuses to quiet. And Richard stands in the middle of it all, a boy surrounded by danger, humour, beauty and confusion, watching, memorising, learning. Every argument teaches him timing, every lie teaches him truth, every burst of laughter teaches him where pain hides. He doesn't know it yet, but this world, this rough, loud, unfiltered place, is giving him the raw material he will one day shape into something extraordinary. In Peoria, in this big tired house that never really sleeps, a storyteller is forming right in front of us. Outside the brothel, the world of Peoria doesn't get gentler. It just gets wider. The sidewalks are uneven, and the air carries a faint, metallic taste from factory dust. But for a boy like Richard, the streets are a stage before he even knows it. He walks to school each morning past storefronts with flickering neon signs, past barber shops where men argue about baseball, past diners where the smell of burnt coffee leaks into the street. The world is noisy, unpredictable, alive, and Richard feels all of it. Every sound presses into him. The squeal of bus brakes, the clatter of glass bottles from the corner shop, the laughter of older boys who don't care who hears them. In school, he's restless. His desk feels too small, the walls too close. Teachers try to settle him, but his mind runs faster than their lessons. He cracks jokes under his breath, mimics the teachers' voices, acts out scenes from home that the other kids don't fully understand, but still find hilarious. He makes friends easily, but trouble finds him just as easily. He gets expelled, brought back, suspended, warned, scolded, all before most kids learn long division. But something else is happening too. Whenever Richard performs, even if it's just in the hallway, or during recess, or standing on top of a milk crate behind the school, everything inside him snaps into place. Suddenly, he isn't just the kid from the brothel. He isn't just the boy who sees too much. He becomes a storyteller, a mimic, a shapeshifter. He can turn a teacher's scolding into a comedy bit that sends the whole class into fits of laughter. He can imitate the drunk men who visit his grandmother's house, right down to the wobble in their steps and the slur in their voices. He doesn't mock them out of cruelty. He captures their truth. Even as a boy, he understands that humour lives in honesty. Teachers shake their heads. Other kids stare at him like he's a magic trick. Adults whisper, "That Pryor kid, he's strange but funny." At home, the house continues its chaotic rhythm. Doors opening, voices rising, secrets passing through the air like cigarette smoke. But Richard's relationship with it is changing. He watches the women, studies their expressions, notices the way they switch from tired to charming in the blink of an eye. He sees the masks people wear, and he starts to understand that everyone is performing, in their own way. One night, after another argument downstairs rattles the walls, he sneaks out onto the back steps. The air is cool, carrying the smell of the river. He sits there, knees pulled to his chest, replaying the voices he heard earlier, their anger, their fear, their strange, nervous laughter, and he mimics them, not to mock them, but to understand them. In the dim moonlight, the boy performs for an audience of none, instinctively shaping pain into humour. He has no coach, no mentor, no one telling him he's talented, but the talent is there, bright as a flare in the dark. By his early teens, he's performing in school plays. The stage lights feel hot on his face, and the wooden boards beneath his feet feel solid, more solid than anything at home. The audience laughs loudly at lines that weren't even written to be funny. Richard tweaks every scene, reshapes every character. He can't help it. Comedy is becoming the language he speaks most fluently. Peoria still surrounds him with poverty, violence, and unpredictability. But something inside him is shifting. He's beginning to understand that laughter has power. Real power. It can diffuse tension. It can win affection. It can protect him. It can explain the world when nothing else makes sense. And slowly, almost without noticing, the boy who grew up watching everyone is discovering what it feels like to be the one everyone watches. By the time Richard reaches his late teens, Peoria feels too small for him. The same cracked sidewalks, the same tired houses, the same shouts drifting out of bars on warm nights. All of it presses on him like a weight he's desperate to shake off. He's taller now, sharper around the edges, quicker with a joke, quicker with trouble. The teachers who once tried to steer him have given up. The police know his name. He drifts between odd jobs and long afternoons on the street, where the soundtrack is always a mix of blues from someone's open window and laughter from people hiding their pain behind jokes that sound a little too forced. But even as he acts wild, there's a nervous energy under the surface. He knows he doesn't belong in Peoria, not forever. He just doesn't know where he does belong. He signs up for the army expecting discipline, a clean slate, maybe even purpose. Instead, he finds another version of chaos. The barracks smell like sweat, detergent and boredom. The days are filled with drills that leave dust caked in his boots. The nights echo with voices, young men bragging, arguing, missing home, but the army doesn't straighten him out. It exposes him. His humour, once a shield, becomes a spark for conflict. He cracks jokes at the wrong time, mimics the wrong person. And beneath the surface, the country is racially divided in ways he has never seen so clearly. He feels the tension every time a superior looks at him too long, every time someone tests him, every time he's expected to stay quiet when something inside him refuses. The breaking point comes fast, a fight, an accusation, a moment of anger that spirals. Before long, the army decides it's better to let him go than keep him. Richard returns to Peoria, not with pride, but with a sense that the world is pushing him somewhere. Back home, he's restless. He wanders the city at night, feeling the neon signs buzz above him, hearing the hum of conversations spilling from smoky bars. In one of those bars, he sees his first real nightclub show. A comedian stands under a dim spotlight, talking, controlling the room with nothing but words. Richard watches, unmoving. The crowd leans forward when the comic leans forward, laughs when he lifts a brow, falls silent when he pauses. It looks like magic, real magic, and something clicks inside Richard like a lock turning. He starts hanging around these clubs, listening, absorbing, studying every performer. He notices how jokes build like small storms, how timing manipulates a crowd, how truth, raw truth, can shock people into laughter. Before long, he works up the courage to ask for stage time. The club owner laughs, but there's something in Richard's eyes, something hungry, electric, and eventually he gives the kid a chance. The night Richard goes on stage for the first time, he's terrified, his palms sweat, his stomach twists, but when he steps into the weak glow of the spotlight, something extraordinary happens. He breathes. He speaks. The room shifts. His jokes aren't polished. His stories wander. His delivery is too fast, then too slow, then too fast again. But the crowd laughs, really laughs, because he's real and they can feel it. They can sense the fire inside him, the unpredictability, the honesty he hasn't yet learned to control. By the end of the night, Richard knows one thing with absolute clarity. The stage feels like home, not the brothel, not the streets, not the army. Here, under a simple light, with people watching, listening, he feels more himself than he ever has. Word spreads quickly. The Pryor kid is funny. He's wild, but he's got something. Richard starts performing anywhere he can. Bars, clubs, school basements, even smoke-filled back rooms where the audience is half drunk and half bored. Every joke sharpens him. Every silence teaches him patience. Every laugh surprises him, encourages him, pulls him forward. And slowly, he starts dreaming past Peoria. He imagines bigger stages, brighter lights, cities where comedians are treated like stars. One night, walking home under a moon that hangs low over the river, Richard looks back at the glow of the nightclub behind him. The air smells like cigarette ash and wet pavement. Somewhere inside that smell, that glow, that world of possibility, he senses a direction Peoria gave him everything: pain, chaos, characters, rhythm. But it's no longer enough. He's ready to leave. He just needs the courage to do it. And deep down, he knows the world outside is waiting for him. New York hits Richard like a shock of cold water. The city is louder than anything he's ever known. Horns blaring, steam rising from subway grates, neon signs buzzing like electrical nerves. The sidewalks are crowded with hustlers, reporters, businessmen, dreamers, and broke artists who all walk like they're late for something important here. Nobody cares where you come from. They only care what you can do. And Richard can do something rare. On stage in Greenwich Village clubs, he performs like the comedians he sees on TV. Smooth, clean, friendly, charming. A Bill Cosby-type set. Safe, palatable. The kind of humour that white audiences embrace easily. And it works. Crowds love him. Bookers praise him. Managers shake his hand. People tell him he could be the next big mainstream star. Off stage, though, he feels like he's performing a version of himself that doesn't really exist. The jokes are polished, but distant from the world he knows. The brothel, the chaos, the pain, the danger, the confusion, the characters that shaped him. He hides that world away like it's something shameful. On stage, he's smiling. Inside, something feels wrong. He walks through Times Square at night, the lights flashing across his face, and he wonders why success feels so hollow. He's doing everything he's supposed to do, everything show business wants, everything he thought he wanted. So why does it feel like he's lying? Hollywood welcomes him, the same way it welcomes any rising star, with fake smiles and real interest. He gets gigs writing for shows, he books comedy specials, he does television appearances, studio audiences laugh on cue, and producers clap him on the back. He's making money. He's gaining fame. He's living the dream. But the dream is exhausting. The showbiz parties feel plastic. The executives talk to him the same way they talk to everyone else, like he's useful, not human. And when he looks in the mirror before a performance, dressed in a suit that doesn't feel like his skin, he catches glimpses of the boy from Peoria, watching, observing, furious, hungry to speak the truth. Then comes Vegas. The lights, the money, the audience ready to be dazzled. He steps on stage in a hotel showroom, packed with rows of eager faces. The spotlight hits him like a hammer. He begins to perform the act he's done 100 times before. And suddenly, mid-sentence, it all collapses. The words feel wrong. The jokes feel hollow. The audience is waiting for laughter that won't come. He stops. He looks out over the room and sees the truth reflected back at him. He isn't the performer he's pretending to be. He isn't the polished, safe, successful version of himself that the world expects. He's a fraud. And for the first time, he panics. He walks off the stage. The managers shout. The audience murmurs. And in that silence, he feels something he's never felt before. Freedom. The breakdown becomes a rebirth. He disappears from mainstream stages for a time. He walks the streets, listens to the city, immerses himself in the counterculture, in the raw, unfiltered life that feels real. He studies people, their fears, their humour, their rage. He experiments with stories no one else would tell. When he returns months later, he is no longer performing the act the world expects. He is performing himself. His comedy is shocking, messy, truthful, and magnetic. He tells stories from his life, his pain, his family, his drugs, his fears. The laughter comes, but it is not easy laughter. It is recognition, release, honesty. The Vegas breakdown is legendary, but it is also the first real moment the world sees the man he was always meant to be. Fearless, vulnerable, and completely alive on stage. The world finally catches up with him. Richard's voice, raw and unflinching, cuts through the smoky haze of clubs, the chatter of TV studios, the hum of record presses. His comedy albums sell by the thousands. The titles alone make people flinch before they even listen. But the laughter that follows is real, deep, uncontrollable, the kind that shakes the room and leaves people gasping. Hollywood comes calling in a bigger way. He's on screens now, not just stages. Silver Streak, Car Wash, Stir Crazy. He's on posters, in magazines, faces staring out from every kiosk. The lights are brighter than he ever imagined, the hotel suites luxurious, the limousines waiting. And for a while, it feels like he's won, but the darkness never goes far. The chaos of his youth, the hunger for truth and escape, follows him like a shadow. He smokes, drinks, snorts, experiments, each high promising relief, each low pulling him deeper. Nights stretch long and wild. Rooms blur with laughter, music, cigarette smoke, and whispered deals. The people around him, friends, collaborators, strangers, become both lifeline and trap. And then there's the fire. The night in 1980 when his own body becomes part of his comedy. He tries cocaine freebasing, a dangerous thrill. Something goes wrong. Flames erupt, catching his skin. Pain screams through him. Panic drives him into the street, running, screaming, fire licking his chest and face. Neighbours open windows, cars stop, voices shout. He collapses in agony, screaming, alive and on fire and terrified. He survives. The doctors patch him up, skin grafts heal, but the memory burns deeper than the flesh ever could. And Richard does what he has always done. He turns the catastrophe into performance. On stage he describes it. He makes people laugh at it. He transforms agony into storytelling, fear into recognition, pain into power. Even at the height of fame, the stages and cameras cannot contain him. His life is chaotic, relationships fractured, health fragile, addictions shadowing every step. Yet in every moment of brilliance he captures the truth. Life is brutal, messy, hilarious, and heartbreaking all at once. Crowds watch him, mesmerised. Young comedians study him. He is a force of nature, a storyteller who drags his audience through the gutters and into the light, laughing the whole way. Richard's body begins to betray him. Multiple sclerosis creeps in quietly at first. A stiffness, a wobble in his step, a tremor that no one watching him on stage could ever notice at first, but he feels it every day. The heat of lights presses harder, the microphones feel heavier, and every movement takes a fraction more effort, yet still he goes on. The crowds don't care about weakness, they care about honesty, and Richard gives them the truth, unflinching and raw. He jokes about his pain, about the drugs, the fire, the chaos of his youth. He makes the audience laugh, not just at the jokes, but at the courage behind them. Richard Pryor dies knowing that the laughter he created is louder than the fear that haunted him, stronger than the illness that confined him, and more enduring than any stage, any spotlight, any city. He leaves the world with a gift, the courage to see, to feel, to speak, and to laugh, no matter how dark the world becomes.